A very good morning to all the students of class 9. And students, as you know, from the last lecture we had started the second chapter of your civics books, and the name of the chapter is What is Democracy and Why Democracy. So in the first lecture we had discussed something important relating to the definitions of democracy. Then we had started the topic that is features of democracy, where we will try to understand the basic concepts of democracy so that we can easily differentiate between the democratic form of government and non-democratic form of government. So for that it was must that we must know some important features, or we can say principles of democracy. How can you recognize the important principles of a democratic country? So because as I told you, in the contemporary world, all the countries around the world, they are trying to prove or they are trying to pretend that they are a democratic form of government. But we have to make out, in real sense, are they the true democratic form of the government, or they are just pretending to be so. So we had, for understanding that concept of democracy, just understanding the mere simple definition is not important. So we'll have to see various factors and various reasons for understanding proper meaning and in detail for democracy, which we had started by understanding the first feature. Okay, the first feature was, in a democracy, the final decision making power rests with those elected by the people. It means the person who is being elected by the people of the country by giving vote in a particular elections, that person should have the final decision making power. But after understanding this, we saw an example of Pakistan, where Pervez Musharraf made a military coup in 1999, where he installed his military rule and he eradicated the democratic form of the government, which was already existing in Pakistan. And he appointed himself or designated himself as the president of Pakistan himself by a referendum. Then we talked about that he had a government also that was a formal government. The people of that government were elected by the people, but they were not having the final decision making power. The final decision making power was centralized with the president of Pakistan, that was Pervez Musharraf. Okay. So in that case we understood that Pakistan cannot be called as a democratic form of the government, because in the real final decision making power was not with the people or with the elected candidates. So we can say that it was not a democratic form of the government. So with the example we had understood that. So again, to understand the second and the third feature of democracy, we'll go through with the examples around the world, and with the help of those examples we will understand the other second and third feature in this lecture for democracy. Like the second feature is, in a democracy, or a democracy must be based on a free and fair elections, where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. It means it is very obvious that in a democratic country, if you want a true democracy, a true results in our elections, the elections should be free and fair on the part of the people who are casting their votes, who are showing their preference. But on the other hand, other condition is, there should always be a fear to the currently ruling party that they can lose the elections and the opposition party can come into a ruling party. Since if these conditions will be prevalent in the countries, with the ruling party is always under pressure that it can lose elections if it does not get proper support of the people, proper preference of the people. In that sense, we can say that country is having a true democratic form of the government. But if there is a country where the party or the currently government which is in power do not have any fear of losing, or they do not have any chance of losing, just they are conducting the elections and they are sure that they will be at the center once again, in that sense we can say that it is not a true democratic form of government. So the second feature we'll understand with the help of the example we'll take from China, and then we'll also talk about the political system in Mexico. Okay, so don't worry, these things I'm going to explain in detail from your NCERT book. I'm just telling you the structure or the content which we'll cover in this lecture. So a democracy must be based on the free and fair elections. Free and fair elections होने चाहिए, but where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. Okay, and the third will be, in a democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote, and each vote must have one value. Suppose in India we say each person is having the right to vote. Whoever person who is above 18 years or so has the right to vote. But the vote of the value which they are casting is same for each and everyone. There is no discrimination on the basis of the caste, color, language when we talk about the value of the vote. Even if the biggest entrepreneur or the businessman will vote in support of a particular candidate or support of a party, his vote value will also be one. If a landless labor is also voting for a particular country, for a particular person, candidate or party, the value of his vote is also going to be one. So with the help of few examples, we will also see that in a democracy, it is very important that the value of each person's vote should be equal. Okay, must have one value. The value of the vote should be equal for any citizen around the country. So we'll talk about it. Okay. So now I will be discussing these. One we have already done. Second and third feature we will be doing it from an NCERT book in detail, so you can understand the meaning. These are the exact features, but we'll come to with the help of the various examples. We will draw out the conclusion to find these exact features of democracy. And after these two, one more feature is left. We will do that in the next video. And also after coming from the topic that is what is democracy, what are the features of democracy, next topic would be why democracy. Why democracy is becoming so popular, so relevant, so significant for all this type of societies, and people having so much of support for that particular form of government. So we'll discuss that. So we'll just now I will discuss these two features from the NCERT book. A very good morning to all the students of class 9th. And students, we had started the chapter of your civics book, and the name of the chapter is What is Democracy and Why Democracy. So in this chapter, in the first part, we had discussed about the meaning and definitions of democracy, and in that definition we have seen some of the important key terms, and with the help of those important key terms, like we talk about the rulers, elections, the people, and the form of government. So with the help of those keywords, we are trying to understand some of the most important features of a democratic form of a government, so that a student or any citizens can easily differentiate between a democratic form of a government and non-democratic form of a government. For that, we are trying to understand some of the important features by taking few examples from some of the countries, different government or form of governments in the different countries. Like when we were studying the first feature of democracy, that was that in a democracy the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. So it means the final decision making power should be given to the only people who are being elected by the people only. So we saw and understood this feature with the help of example or by taking of Pakistan, where we saw that formal governments were there, elections were held there, but the real decision making powers were with General Parvez Musharraf and his association, that is National Security Council. So those people were not having or exercising the real power or the real heads. So in that we said that Pakistan is not the real democratic form of government. So we could say that any country or any democracy where the final decision making power rests with the elected people is the part or the important features of democracy. So today we will understand another feature of a democracy, which is free and fair electoral competition. It means if we are talking about a democratic form of government or we are talking of a democracy, for that this characteristic or this principle is very important. Like in the first example, we have seen major decisions taken by the elected leaders. So this will be revolving around this concept of free and fair elections or competition, electoral competition. So let's take the example of two countries. Here we will be talking about China, and then we will also be taking an example of Mexico, and here we will see what type of system is being followed for the electoral competition, and on the basis of that we will draw out the conclusion to find the second feature of democracy. So in China, elections are regularly held after every 5 years for electing the country's parliament. Like in India also we have, after there is a tenure of 5 years, and then again we have the Lok Sabha elections. Here in China also they have
for every 5 years they have to elect the country's parliament. And if you see, the name of the parliament is Duango Renmin Diaboy Dahui. You need not to remember this name, at least you should know the name of the parliament, and the party is National People's Congress. So the simple thing which you have to remember, that whenever the elections are held after 5 years to elect the members of their parliament, the National People's Congress has the power to appoint the president of the country. Only this party is important there. National People's Congress has the power to appoint the president of the country. It has nearly 3,000 members elected from all over China. It means first elections are held and all over China 3,000 people are elected as a part of National People Congress. And this National People Congress, this association or this organization, a part of parliament, then elects the president of China. So it is a responsibility of these 3,000 elected persons. They will elect the president of China, elected from all over China. Some members are, some members are elected by the army. So out of these 3,000, some members are also elected by the army. Before contesting election, a candidate needs the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. So one thing is very important here, that if you want to be a part of National People's Congress, or you want to be one of the elected person of these 3,000 people, you need to take this approval from the Chinese Communist Party. It means there is a single party and the most dominant party, that is Chinese Communist Party. If you have to contest election and you want to be a part of these 3,000 members, you need the consent and approval of Chinese Communist Party. Without the approval, you cannot contest election. This is compulsory. Only those, it's written, see, only those who members of the Chinese Communist Party or 8 smaller parties allied to it were allowed to contest election. If you want to contest the election, you want to be in a part of an election, you need to take the approval of the Chinese Communist Party, or you will have to join the 8 other smaller parties who are also allied. Allied means partners. It means there is a single party which is most important and powerful, Chinese Communist Party, and there are other parties also, but these 8 parties are not the opposition parties. These are the parties supporting Chinese Communist Party and their ideologies. So you need to have the approval of these 2 parts. Then only you will be allowed to contest election, held in 2002 and 2003. So they have taken the example of 2002 and 2003. The government is always formed by the Communist Party. So whenever there will be a government after the election, you will find there will be a ruling party which is a Communist Party, because before the this elections, a precondition has been put: only if you have the consent and approval of Communist Party, or you have to be a member of Communist Party if you want to have a if you want to contest election. Since independence so one example is this. We'll come to the conclusion of China later on after we finish the other example also. So now you have to remember here that 3,000 members are elected all over the China, and these 3,000 members only appoint the president of China. But if you have to contest election, you need the approval and consent of the Chinese Communist Party. It means simply we can say there is a single party, that is Chinese Communist Party. Whichever is the ruling party is a Chinese Communist Party. So second example is from the Mexico. Since its independence in 1930, Mexico got independence in 1930. It has been holding elections after every 6 years. So here the time period, tenure is different. They have the elections after every 6 years to elect the president. Okay, their head of the government or the head of the state is president. The country has never been under a military or a dictator rule. This country has been ruled by the head as the president. There never had been a military rule or a dictator rule like we had studied in case of Pakistan. But here there is no military rule, no dictator. But until 2000, every election was won by a single party. But if we see, by 2000, they have taken the example, that is year 2000, there were elections held after every 6 years, but there used to be one party which used to win every election. There was no opposition party which could be so strong, which could defeat the ruling party. And let's see what is the name of the ruling party. So party called PRI. You have to remember, when we talk about Mexico, PRI is a party. Its name is Institutional Revolutionary Party. See, it is opposite. Here P has been mentioned at last, then R, then I. But its name is, in short, we call it PRI. So this party has been winning elections till 2002 in every election after they got independence. Opposition parties did contest election. Although there were opposition parties, they contest the elections also, but never managed to win. how is it possible that since 1930 no other opposition party has been able to win a single election? Only there is one party, that is PRI, which is getting the maximum votes, maximum seats and majority in every election. How is it possible? But never managed to win. The PRI was known to use many dirty tricks to win election, because now they're giving the reason here, because this party PRI, that is Institutional Revolutionary Party, this has managed to win each and every election every year, because it is using the malpractices or the fraud activities or the dirty tricks to win the elections. Like, all those who were employed in government offices had to attend its party. All the government officers had to attend the parties and meetings of this PRI. In those meetings, they were being influenced to support PRI. Teachers of government schools, whoever were the teachers in the government, they used to force the parents to vote for PRI. Whenever there were parents teachers meeting like we have, so parents were being forced by the teacher that please support PRI. Media largely ignored the activities of the, here the media was also playing an important role, which led to the win of PRI in every election, because media used to show the activities and good deeds of only single party, that was PRI, and opposition parties accept criticism. And when we talked about the opposition parties, only criticized the political parties which were opposed to PRI. So media was clearly supporting PRI anyhow. Sometimes the polling booths were shifted from one place to another in the last minutes. So in those areas where they thought they cannot get the majority and there is a chance that they may be losing in that particular constituency, in such situation they used to shift the polling booths, okay, from one place to the another in the last minute, which made it difficult for the people to cast their vote. In that condition, people of that region could not cast their vote. The PRI spent a large sum of money in campaign. PRI party used to sum up or spend lot of money in the campaign for its candidates. So these were some of the practices which led to the win of PRI in every election after 6 years. 6 years, yes. So simply I can ask you, after going through these two examples, should we consider election described above as an example of people electing their rulers? Do you think it is a fair means and the free and fair elections are being held here? Are the people getting the right choices to elect their representatives or the rulers? Reading these examples, we get a sense that we cannot. Here people are not getting a clear and honest choice to select their rulers. They do not have a choice. There are many problems here. Suppose we are taking the example of China here. In China, the elections do not offer the people any serious choice. In China, as we have seen the example, people were not having any choice, because if any person had to contest election, he cannot be of some other political party. He had to take the approval and consent of the Communist Party. So anyhow, he had to follow the ideologies of Communist Party before he contest for the election. So when people went to, whenever they got a chance to vote for the elections, they did not had any serious choices. They had to choose a ruling party and the candidate approved by it. Anyhow, they had to choose the Communist Party and the same candidate which was approved by them. So can we call this a choice? No. In the Mexican, if we see the example of Mexico, here people seem to really have a choice, but in practice, here people were having the choice, opposition parties were also there, but in practice they had no choice. But if we talk about the practice, they were not having any choice. There were no way of ruling party could be defeated, because they were not finding any choices to defeat the ruling party. If they wanted to remove and defeat the ruling party, the various malpractices and tricks were used to defeat the opposition parties. So even if people were against it, if people were against the PRI, that was the ruling party, still they were not able to defeat this PRI. These are not fair elections. So we can say that in China and Mexico, these elections cannot be called as the free and fair elections. And one of the important feature of this democracy is that there should be a free and fair elections, and there should be a competition when we are talking about the contest of elections. We can thus add a second feature. One second. Yes. Thus we can add a second feature of, so after understanding these two examples, clearly we can see the second important feature of a democracy, that what is the important condition in a democracy. Here, holding election of any kind is not sufficient. It is not that if we are having elections that it means we are a democratic country. The important thing is there, the election must offer a real choice between the political alternatives. Every person should get a clear choice that he can elect anyone. It means the ruling party should always have a chance where it can be defeated by the opposition party. But in China and Mexico, this is not the case. So they cannot be called a true democratic form of governments. Thus, it should be possible for people to use their choices to remove the existing rulers. So, in a free and fair election, there should be always a choice with the people where they can remove the existing rulers. It means there should always be fear with the ruling party that they can be defeated easily, okay, if they wish so. So the second, you will write it like this: in a democracy, or a democracy must be based on a free and fair elections where those currently in power have the fair chance of losing. It means one thing is important: we must have a free and fair elections. There should not be any malpractices used. But one important character is that whichever is the currently ruling government or the ruling power at the center, that the party should always have a chance of losing. It means we are living in a democratic world, we are living in a democratic country where each party has the equal chance of winning the elections. If in a country the ruling party is not having any fear of losing the elections, then it is sure beforehand that we will again make a government at the center. It means that form of government is not a true democracy. Another third important feature of democracy is one person, one vote, one value. It means the value of vote for each and every citizen in a country should be same. There should not be disparity between the value of the vote. If a person is a citizen of a country, he is authorized to give one vote. But important thing is here, his one vote value should be equal to the value of the vote of any other person in the country. That is why one person, one vote, one value. So in the previous chapter we read about how the struggle for democracy was linked to the demand of universal adult franchise. In the junior classes you have been reading, we have various demonstrations you have seen around the world, and here also we have read in French Revolution, the chapter which we have finished. We have seen that how women were not able to get the right to vote, and how the people living at the third state, at the lower strata, were facing problem. They were not given the right to vote. Okay, so there has been always struggles relating to these universal adult franchise, but this principle has now come to be accepted almost all over the world. But now this principle of universal adult franchise is now accepted all over the world, yet there are many instances of denial of equal rights to vote. But still there are few places in the countries or the world where equal rights have not been assessed to all in the country. Until 2015, Saudi Arabian women did not have the right to vote till 2015. Estonia has made its citizenship rule in such a way that people belonging to Russian minority find it difficult to get the right to vote. So in Estonia, people belonging to the Russian minority, those people are not given the right to vote in Estonia. If we talk about India, see, each and every person who is a citizen of India is having the right to vote. The condition is he or she should be 18 years or above. The other countries, in Fiji, the electoral system is such that the vote of an indigenous Fiji has more value than that of an Indian Fijian. It means the people who are the inhabitants of the Fiji, the original people of Fiji, they are having the value of their vote more than the people who are called the Indian Fijis. It means if they are having the vote value of 1, so Indian Fijis will have the vote value of half. Okay, so this is coming under the topic that is one person, one vote, and one value. So democracy is based on a fundamental principle of political equality. So we are talking about the third principle, and when we talk about the democracy and principles of democracy, so one of the important principle is that there should be political equality to each and every citizen. There should not be differences or discrimination on the basis of caste, color, language, or profession. That gives us the third feature of the democracy. In a democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote. Each vote must have the one value. So in a democracy, third important feature is that each adult citizen, in case of India, adult citizen means 18 years and plus, all must have one vote. Everyone should have a one vote, and the value of every vote should be same. That is, each vote must have one value. It does not mean that if there is a rich person, he is coming to vote in the elections and his vote will be counted equal to 10 votes. And in the same way, there is a laborer or a farmer who is coming to vote and his vote will be counted equal to half or only one. This is not the case in a democracy. In a democracy, each citizen is treated equally and his value of vote is also equal, that is 1. We shall read more about this in chapter 4. So here we have finished 3 important features of a democracy. Next feature we will discuss in the next class. Okay.